January 13, 1999, at 2:32 p.m., a chilling scream pierced the air in a remote park in Baltimore County, Maryland. The sound would haunt those who heard it for years to come. A 15-year-old boy later described what he saw: two teens in the back of a car, one of them Hae Min Lee, a high school student, with a body that seemed lifeless. Lee's head was tilted at an awkward angle, her eyes frozen in a permanent stare. She was the last breath of life taken by a killer who would strike fear in the hearts of everyone around her. The scene was eerily quiet, a stark contrast to the chaos that was about to unfold. Snowflakes gently fell onto the deserted park, casting a serene silence over the area. But beneath the tranquil facade, a nightmare was unfolding. A lone tree stood tall, a witness to the unspeakable horror that had occurred beneath its branches. Its gnarled roots seemed to stretch out like skeletal fingers, grasping for something, or someone. Hae Min Lee's lifeless body was that of an 18-year-old girl, a student at Woodlawn High School. Her face, once a picture of innocence, now wore a haunting expression that seemed to scream for justice. Lee's life was a promising one, filled with dreams and aspirations, cut short by the cruel hand of a killer. She was a Korean American, a devoted friend, and a bright student, with a smile that could light up a room. Her death was a tragedy, a senseless act that would leave a trail of unanswered questions. A witness reported seeing a dark sedan speeding away from the scene, its occupants unseen, their intentions unknown. Another witness described hearing a faint muffled sound, a cry for help that seemed to vanish into thin air. A third witness claimed to have seen Lee's body, her eyes frozen, her face a mask of terror. A fourth witness reported seeing a suspicious figure lurking around the park, its presence unnoticed by others. The accounts were fragmented, piecing together a puzzle that would take months to fully comprehend. Before we go further, hit subscribe and the bell. We post new cases every single day. From true crime dramas to lesser-known tales of mystery, we dive deep into the most intriguing cases that will leave you on the edge of your seat. If you're new here, welcome to our community of true crime enthusiasts. Our team is dedicated to delivering the most in-depth analysis of the most captivating cases. Stay tuned for more, as we uncover the truth behind some of the world's most baffling crimes. Let me take you back to the very beginning of this story, a case that would captivate a nation, leave it questioning the justice system, and spark a national conversation about the reliability of confessions. In the late 1990s, a teenager was accused of murdering Hae Min Lee, a high school student from Baltimore County. The case was a complex web of alibis, misidentification, and disputed evidence. But what really happened that fateful day in January 1999? Was the accused guilty, or was he a pawn in a much larger game? As we dive into the case of Hae Min Lee, we learn that Adnan Syed, the accused, was a 17-year-old high school student at the time of the murder. His life was a tumultuous one, marked by a complicated family life and a troubled relationship with his mother. Syed's world was turned upside down when he was accused of committing the heinous crime. But was he really the killer, or was it a case of mistaken identity? We'll explore the twists and turns of this intricate case, questioning the assumptions and exploring the complexities of human psychology. Hae Min Lee, the 18-year-old murder victim, was a central figure in the true crime podcast serial. Born in Korea, Hae moved to the United States with her family as a child. She attended Woodlawn High School in Baltimore County, Maryland, where her friends described her as outgoing and kind. Hae's family was close-knit and supportive, with her parents owning a small business. Her friends saw her as one of their own, a member of their tight-knit group of teenagers. Hae's daily life consisted of attending school and working part-time as a receptionist at an orthodontist's office. On weekends, she would often hang out with her friends, whether it was going to the mall, watching movies, or just chill at someone's house. Hae's parents encouraged her to pursue her interests, including her love of music. Her friends admired her confidence and her ability to speak her mind. Hae's friends would often confide in her, telling her their secrets and problems. Hae was likable, relatable, and sympathetic due to her down-to-earth personality and her easygoing nature. Her friends and family described her as a good listener and someone who was always willing to lend a helping hand. Hae's kindness and generosity towards others endeared her to those around her. Her parents adored her, and her friends looked up to her. Unfortunately, Hae's life was cut short, and her legacy would live on through the investigation into her murder. Hae's relationships were built on trust and mutual respect. She confided in her close friends, telling them about her hopes and dreams, as well as her fears and insecurities. Her parents trusted her to make good decisions, and she in turn trusted them to support her. Hae's friends trusted her to keep their secrets, and she kept her promises. Her relationships were built on a foundation of loyalty and honesty. As the months leading up to Hae's murder began to unfold, her relationships with her friends and family started to change. Her parents were worried about the influence of her friends, particularly a boy who would later become a suspect in her murder. Hae's friends were beginning to drift apart, and she found herself spending more time with this particular boy. Her friends noticed a change in her behavior, but they didn't think much of it at the time. They brushed it off as Hae just being her usual self. The first warning signs that something was wrong were subtle, but they would eventually become clear. Hae's friends noticed that she was spending more and more time with this one boy, and her parents were getting worried about their daughter's whereabouts. Hae's friends would often see her get into arguments with her family, and her parents were starting to get suspicious. Hae's friends didn't think much of it at first, but looking back, they realized that something was off. Hae's changes in behavior were the first signs that something was amiss. As the months went by, Hae's friends began to notice that she was acting strangely. She was distant, withdrawn, and would often cancel plans with them. Her parents were getting more and more worried, but they didn't know what to do. Hae's friends tried to reach out to her, but she was pushing them away. Her parents were getting desperate, but they didn't know what was causing Hae's behavior. Hae's friends were starting to get concerned, but they didn't think it was anything serious. Hae's friends and family were oblivious to the fact that someone was watching Hae, someone who had a motive to harm her. This person was someone Hae trusted, someone she confided in and told her secrets to. As the days went by, Hae's behavior continued to change, and her friends and family continued to worry. They had no idea that their beloved Hae was in grave danger, and that her life would soon be cut short in the most tragic way possible. But what if I told you that Hae's murder was not just a random act of violence, but a carefully planned and executed crime? What if I told you that the person responsible for her murder was someone who was close to her, someone she trusted? Who could it be? Was it the boy who was spending so much time with Hae, or someone else entirely? The question remains, but one thing is for sure, the truth behind Hae Min Lee's murder is a complicated and twisted tale that will keep you on the edge of your seat. It was January 13, 1999, a chilly winter afternoon in Baltimore, Maryland, with a clear blue sky and a temperature of around 40 degrees Fahrenheit. Hae Min Lee was an 18-year-old student at Woodlawn High School, and she had finished her classes for the day. Lee had left school around 2:30 p.m. and was on her way to Catonsville Mall, a local shopping center, to watch a movie with her friends. Her mother, Catherine, had given her permission to go, but had asked her to return by 3:30 p.m. Lee arrived at the mall around 2:45 p.m. and met up with her friends. The group bought snacks and planned to see a movie together. Lee had been in a tumultuous relationship with Adnan Syed, a classmate who was about a year older than her. They had been dating on and off for a year, but things had been strained between them for a while. Syed had become controlling and manipulative, always wanting to know where Lee was and who she was with. Lee had confided in her friends about the problems in her relationship, but hadn't told anyone about the recent arguments with Syed. Lee had also mentioned to her friends that she was planning to break up with Syed. On the afternoon of January 13, 1999, Lee left the Catonsville Mall around 3 p.m. to go to her car, which was parked in a nearby lot. Adnan Syed was supposed to meet her at the car, but he never showed up. Lee waited for about 20 minutes, but eventually gave up and walked to a nearby park, where she had arranged to meet Adnan Syed. Lee's friends had dropped her off at the mall, but hadn't seen her since. Lee's phone battery was dead, but she had left a message for her friend Jay Wilds, saying she was waiting for Adnan Syed at the park. Lee was last seen walking into Leakin Park. One of the most shocking details of the case is that Lee's body was found in Leakin Park, with a plastic bag covering her head and a rope around her neck. The police investigation would later reveal that Lee had been strangled and then dumped in the park, where her body would remain for over a week. Lee's body was discovered on February 9, 1999, and was later identified through dental records. The crime scene was a gruesome and disturbing sight, with Lee's body left in a state of decomposition. The police investigation that followed would reveal a trail of inconsistencies and suspects, but the identity of the killer would remain a mystery for years to come. As the police were called to the scene, they were met with the gruesome sight of Hae Min Lee's body. The officers who first discovered the body were shocked and disturbed by what they saw. It was a scene that would haunt them for years to come. The detectives who would take on the case were determined to solve it, but they knew they would face a long and tough road ahead. The investigation was just beginning, and it would be a journey that would uncover secrets and lies, and ultimately reveal a shocking truth. Comment below, what do you think really happened here? Was it Adnan Syed, her ex-boyfriend, who committed the crime? Or was it someone else entirely? The investigation that follows will take us deep into the world of Hae Min Lee's friends and family, and the suspects who were involved in her life. We'll speak to Jay Wilds, Adnan Syed's friend, who was in a complicated relationship with Hae Min Lee, and other key witnesses who can shed light on the events of that fateful day. The investigation into Hae Min Lee's murder would take a surprising turn, as detectives began to piece together the events of that day. They would interview Jay Wilds, who would claim to have been with Adnan Syed on the day of the murder. They would also speak to other students who had been close to Hae Min Lee, and who had witnessed the troubled relationship between her and Adnan Syed. But as the detectives dug deeper, they would uncover inconsistencies in the alibis of both Jay Wilds and Adnan Syed, leaving them with more questions than answers. Just as they thought they were getting close to solving the case, they would hit a roadblock. And for Hae Min Lee's family, the waiting game would continue, as they struggled to come to terms with the loss of their beloved daughter. And so the investigation into Hae Min Lee's murder continues, with a trail of clues and suspects leading investigators deeper into the mystery. But just as they think they have a lead, they hit a dead end. Adnan Syed's alibi checks out, but is he telling the truth? And what about Jay Wilds, who claims to have been with him on the day of the murder? The investigation that follows will take us down a rabbit hole of twists and turns, as we try to uncover the truth about Hae Min Lee's tragic fate. We've finally made it to the investigation chapter of our serial deep dive. As we established earlier, the case of the 1999 killing of Hae Min Lee began with a frantic 911 call. Police first responded by canvassing the neighborhood and gathering information from Lee's family and friends. The initial investigation turned up nothing concrete, but a crucial piece of evidence would eventually change everything. Detectives were in over their heads, dealing with a seemingly unsolvable case. The key piece of evidence that changed the trajectory of the investigation was a call Adnan Syed made to a friend, Jay Wilds, on January 13, 1999. During this call, Syed mentioned needing to take care of something. What he said next would come back to haunt him. Jay Wilds would later claim that Adnan had